Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Erin, aka Faye Fire, and we are here today to discuss the third episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Duncan Egg Show. And this episode was called The Squire, and this was really focused on Egg and kind of getting to know him better. If you've read the books, you know he has, some secrets, secret hidden identity, hidden Targaryens. Like, whoa. What a concept, right? Almost like that's a trope. But so we learn a lot about Egg. We, continue on with the Squire tales, as we might call it, for all intents and purposes. And Dunk is preparing himself to get ready for the tourney, and Egg is kind of also preparing himself because, as we saw in episode 2, when they were watching the tourney events, those guys are, they're a little bit out of their league here. So the landed knights, the highborn knights, knights of renown, as Egg calls them, they are, much fancier, better trained than Dunk ever was. So Dunk's a little bit in over his head. And so once he kind of had that realization, we saw at the end of episode 2, he was like having a panic attack there. And that kind of continues on into episode 3. Dunk wakes up. He's like in a pretty bad mood. But before we get into that, the episode starts with Egg, and he is, let me take my photo down, but we do get our first introduction. We just got spoiled. This episode spoiled season 15 for us. I think we can all agree with that. So, whoops, let me put it on me for a minute. So the episode starts out and we have Egg, and it was really cute. He like wakes up and he's just kind of staring at Dunk, and Dunk's sleeping, but Egg is trying to kind of figure out, I think he's feeling the pressure right in that moment as well. He's like, oh my gosh, and with all the secrets he's been keeping, he kind of realizes that his secrets are affecting Dunk as well. So if those secrets should come out, it may have a negative effect on Dunk. And so I think he's starting to feel a little bit of guilt, a little bit of remorse, and also a little bit of pressure after seeing those big squires out at the tourney the night before. So he wakes up really early and decides he's going to go out and train with Thunder, which Thunder is a war horse. And back in episode 1, Dunk was like, hey, that horse could kill you. So he's, and it's kind of funny to watch like the Targaryens being these dragon lords, but then Egg is kind of struggling to just get this horse to listen to him. Much different than, in House of the Dragon, where we see the young men like young Jaehaerys, young Aegon, young Aemond, even though he didn't have his dragon quite yet, but those young boys are being taught in the dragon pit and being, learning how to ride their dragons, how to command their dragons, and Egg can barely command a horse. So it's a much different energy than, the Targaryens. They've fallen from grace, I guess we might say. So Egg takes Thunder out and they have this heart to heart. It's actually the cutest thing I've seen. And they they have a heart to heart. He's like, hey, look, if Dunk needs us, like he's not going to be able to do this on his own. He needs us as much as, we're all a team here. Oh, let me pull it. No, this one. No. Stop it. Why won't you? Oh, okay. It's on there. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm doing a great job at this. Okay. All right. So he's out there. He's working with Thunder. He's trying to get the horse to listen to him. They have this cute interaction. And this is what I love about Egg. We've talked a lot on my channel about the Arthurian overtones to this story, and it's definitely present, and we see that more and more. And even with Egg, we have this connection to animals, okay? And we're going to get more into his other stuff later, but like with Dunk, he has the true knight vibes, okay? So like King Arthur is not just King Arthur. It's about the Knights of the Round Table and the other knights. There's all this lore that goes along with it. And so we can see some of Arthur's attributes coming out through Egg, while Dunk has more of the knights, the true knight, like Lancelot or Galahad or Percival, especially Percival. He's got that true knight energy, and that's what he's trying to accomplish. He doesn't desire to be the king or rule or anything like that. He just wants to be a good knight, and we see that more and more. Like, he was just shocked that a knight could dishonor themselves, the way he saw Arian behave, and that's a prince. So like, Dunk is just so much different. He's so much more pure. And then Egg also, he's the dragon lord, and we learn, his future is told to him in this episode. He is going to be a king. And so to see these sort of origin moments where he's connecting with animals and connecting with the land, these are really important things to like a kingship or like a sovereign king story, right? And so it's just great. I just loved this moment with Thunder when Thunder's like nodding to him. He's like, yeah, like they're understanding one another. And so he's, encouraging Thunder to run, and he's really like, they're making that connection, making that bond with each other. And then Egg is also practicing, which I absolutely love, his little like sword swinging move. Like, that is just be still my heart. Like, it is just the cutest. He is just too stinking cute. So I just love this whole scene with Thunder. And then, of course, we have this kind of stranger come up. Let me pull up a photo here. Let me take this one, remove, and then I think I can just do this easier over here. We have this kind of strange guy come wandering up on him, this mad, moody guy, and referring to himself in the third person. I think he says, we won't do this, we will do this. And it's just interesting. And so Egg figures out that this is Sir Robin Riesling, who is the maddest knight in the realm. And he's got this one eye, and we see this flashback to Attorney. I believe it was Attorney of Ashford some years prior, and he is in the lists, and he takes a wood shard to the eye, which like literally like rips his eye out, and then he just continues on with like his eye dangling there. And so that was interesting. And so he is an interesting character. He says that he's a vessel for the warrior. When madness is bid, it is madness delivered. And so this guy is really out there. He's someone much different. And I love, he's like refers to himself as we. So it's sort of this existential thing going on with this guy. I don't really know. But I think the we thing is really important because of Egg. I think it's we. let me say it's we. Because future King Aegon has some social reforms that don't quite, the other lords and highborn, they don't necessarily like it very much. It's more of a social reform oriented towards the people. Socialist reform, or maybe communist. We're not really sure. But that energy was very present for Egg on a few occasions. So we're going to talk about that as we go through this. But yeah, so he has this kind of interesting encounter with this guy, and even the guy tries to like take the horse, and Egg is like, he's got the connection with Thunder. So it's just kind of it was an interesting scene. I think it's some foreshadowing, and that's just, like also Egg says, he says like, what does he say? He says, I serve Sir Duncan the Tall. He's large enough for both of us. Oh, is he? Is he working for two here? So it's just sort of that mindset. All right, guys. And maybe you're biting, maybe you're not. Maybe it's woke of me. I don't really care. It's it's ours. Communist Egg. Chairman Egg Zedong. So yes, exactly, Wild Marjoram. And let me just check in the chat. Did our local Alaskan groundhog see its shadow? I actually didn't check on the groundhogs. I don't know if we have Alaskan groundhogs, but maybe we check the otters. I don't know. Yeah, where is Mrs. Duncan the Tall today? I don't know. We were texting this morning. She's around. She might be working. So she's always present. She's always here in spirit with us. All right. So let me go ahead. So that was, a pretty interesting scene between him and Robin Riesling. And we will get to see that guy again. This is not going to be the first time that we see him. So, all right. So back at camp, like I said, Dunk woke up on the wrong side of the dirty old blanket on the ground. He was just in a bad mood. He's stressed about, having to participate in the tourney and his positioning there. And if he loses everything. He's really kind of stressed out about this. And he's back at the camp and he's kind of sewing up like a hole in his shirt or whatever. And Egg's like, isn't that my duty? And he kind of tells him, like, he's pretty harsh on him, but then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And so he ends up teaching him how to sew. And that was totally adorable. I think I do have a photo of that. So they kind of have this, they're bonding. And like, you can see how much respect that Egg has for Dunk. Like, he is far more invested in their friendship, and then as we see how it compares to his relationship with his family later in the episode, you're like, okay, like him having this bonding moment with Dunk, he trusts him, he feels safe with him, and that's really important to Egg. Like we talked about, Arian is a dangerous individual. He is a child predator. So like, for Egg to find someone that he feels safe and feels comfortable with is important for him. And so we're seeing like this bond being made between them. And it's just really sweet and precious. And I love, Egg asking him, he's like, is it weird that I have black hair growing from my stones? Like, oh my gosh. And Dunk's like, it's weird that you're telling me about it. Like they're just so cute together. And then of course we have Egg singing his song, that amazing song that he sang, which is like a Miss Mary Mac song, about the black fires and about them being, illegitimate usurpers and that kind of thing. So that was just fantastic. I think we all are going to be singing that song forever now. It competes, as a person who's covering the Pendragon cycle right now with some excellent songs that are in the Pendragon cycle, I don't know, Egg's song definitely puts up a stiff competition. So stiff as in the line about the Storm Lord. Anyways. All right. So Dunk is just stressed out. He's vomiting in the background while Egg is singing his little song. I don't know if you guys caught that, but yeah, he's like in the background vomiting his guts out, and he comes around and he's like, all right, it's time. Let's get it together. We're going in. And then Egg is like, well, the right of the first challenge goes to the Knights of High Birth and Renown. So we're actually not entering the list today. And Dunk's like, well, why have I been vomiting all morning then? And so it was just a very funny little scene between these two. The whole intro was just adorable. So after that, Dunk's like, okay, feeling a little more relieved. He goes into the town, I guess we call it, and he's trying to get them some breakfast. And so he gets the goose eggs and he sees Tansel coming up. Of course, he's acting silly. I mean, their little dynamic, their little flirtatious thing is just adorable. But of course, he's kind of making a dork out of himself. And she comes around and he's like, do you like goose eggs? And it's just like, she's like, your shield will be ready later. So then we get the bacon Duncan egg sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches. Yes, that was epic. I actually really loved that scene of them like cooking over the fire. It was just perfect. It was just so cute. And then after that, they have a fun day going to the lists and watching, the tourney events and just having so much fun together. And it's just so sweet and like enjoyable to watch. It's just so much fun. Like you just really feel like you're there with them, enjoying the tourney and just having a good time. So then we have these guys sitting. Actually, I think I've got it here. So we've got them sitting on this hillside and they're just kind of having just like this little heart to heart. They're kind of reflecting on, life, right? It's like, I think I could live in a place like this. I think I could be really happy right here. Well, we all say that when we're like, at the carnival or at the, at the local fair or what have you. So it was just kind of this cute moment, but then they're sitting there and they're talking and, let me see. And so Egg, this is another one of his moments, his like, his sort of socialist moments here. So he says, after I fight a great battle for my lord, he'll give me a parcel of land and so he's like earning his, his keep or whatever, and his second most beautiful daughter, because Dunk's getting the first most beautiful daughter. He talks about he would keep horses and he'd raise cows and he'd plant oats and peas and these kind of thing. And so like he kind of does desire for that simplicity, especially like he's grown up his whole life in King's Landing he not at the Red Keep. They actually live at Summerhall, but it's just much different. It's a much more free lifestyle. And even Dunk asks him, like, did you really ride in a cart all the way here? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. One of the things that was really interesting to me, going back to this, Dunk being the true knight, being the pure knight that he is. And then Egg says, fuck your lambs. Oh, sorry. F your lambs. Sorry. And that like is, that's anti-Christian rhetoric. Like what he's meaning by that, like there's a subtext going on with that, right? Dunk has this connection to the gods, to being a pure knight, which is connected to Christ and the Holy Grail and that kind of thing in like Arthurian or broader like knighthood context, right? Well, we've talked about with Dunk, his connection to the seven gods, which comes from Sir Arlen, and his penny in the hilt, which is representing the seven-pointed star, representing the seven gods. And so Dunk has this connection to the seven gods, and that's what Sir Arlen really instilled in him, because that's where the true knight attributes, I guess, come from. It's like it's very chaste, biblical, I guess you might say, in a sense, chivalrous, right? And that all is kind of bound to like your like we talked about in my video in the True Knight, where the seven, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Sorry, guys. I've made a lot of videos in the last few weeks. It's like the seven virtues that are, that stand in contrast to the seven deadly sins. And this is in Catholicism, which is what the faith of the seven is based upon. And so it all kind of ties together in a sense, right? It's a reflection of Catholicism. It's a reflection of the Christian faith, and that's what the basis of the true knight, the rules and the lifestyle of a true knight, which Sir Arlen believed a hedge knight is the truest kind of knight, and that's where that all comes from. Okay, long story short, right? So F your lambs, that's kind of that was a slight towards Dunk being a true knight. And Dunk and Egg have this sort of like sword and lance like vibe going on, right? And that's sort of a trope, a storytelling trope within Myrick tradition. And so, and that would be, one is the sword and one is the lance. Okay. The lance being sort of like Robin to Batman. Okay. Like Lancelot to Arthur. It's like a buddy dynamic, a bromance dynamic. and one is like the sword, the dragon for all intents and purposes, and then the other is like his true knight, right? So it's an interesting dynamic. I am working on another essay this week that I'm going to put out for you guys, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, that dynamic in this story. So as they're sitting there, we have Plumber the steward, and he comes up and kind of interrupts their chat, and he is basically offering, he's trying to make a deal with Dunk. And so basically he wants Dunk to challenge Sir Andrew, which is the son of Lord Ashford, because Lord Ashford had overspent on the tourney in general. And so they're trying to kind of, cut their losses or whatever. They want to try to bring in a little extra cash if they can. So he's offering to Dunk, because Dunk seems like, kind of a likely character to take this deal, to beat Sir Andrew so that they can like bet against him, and Dunk will be rewarded, just as any other knight. He would win his arms and armor and his horse. So Dunk would come out, better for it on the other end if he's willing to do this. And he kind of tells Plumber, he's like, well, I don't want to win if it's not legitimate, but it's like, mind your pride, Sir Duncan. You're literally there amongst a bunch of knights, and they're not going to offer you the same courtesy. Like, they would happily take your arms and armor. No problem. No questions asked. So he's offering this deal to him. Dunk's like, well, I'll think about it. I'll let you know. And they do see each other later on, like in the marketplace, but Dunk is kind of like standoffish. He's not quite giving him that final answer. So, all right. And I love that moment too, where Plumber's like, for someone who's like living under an alder tree right now, and Dunk's like, it's an elm. Thank you. I love Plumber. I think I love the guy playing him. He's just like such a little character. He's so funny. I love his little mannerisms. He does a great job in this role. So Dunk and Egg, they go back to the list. They kind of hear this trumpet going off, and it's Aerion Targaryen. He is joining the list. Sonic the Hedgehog has rolled into the house. So if you guys, I don't know how you felt about his armor, but it's giving Sonic the Hedgehog. Let me pull it up. And you guys know I'd be watching some Sonic around here with all these kids. So you can't really see it in this photo, but yeah, he's got like these, these are, and his armor is sick. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Like, the armor in this whole series is awesome. It's very unique. Everybody's kind of got their own flair going on. Everyone's got a bit of a different look, but even like their fine tunics and their tourney, like tunics or whatever that they're wearing. I mean, everything just looks amazing on these knights. They're definitely like the NFL players of our time, like, how NFL players are walking around always flashy, always like in the coolest stuff, setting the trends. Well, the knights are definitely like setting the tone. You can see the difference between, the small folk and them. And it's just like, they're these celebrities walking around. And these are, of course, the landed knights, the knights of renown, not the hedge knights, not the ones sleeping under an elm tree. So, all right. So Aerion and Prince Baelor, who's sitting up in the kind of on the dais, I guess we might call it. And he's up there with Lord Ashford, and actually Prince Maekar is not there. He did not attend. And Aerion and Baelor kind of have this like, this sort of, I don't really know what the dynamic is between these two. It seems to me like Baelor is very aware of like how toxic his nephew is. He's like, this kid, but he also like gives him a nod, like he's okay with him going and, challenging whoever he's going to challenge. And it seems almost like Aerion is going to challenge Prince Valar, which is Baelor's son. And Valar is like, he's kind of this beloved. He's a very good character. He's like morally good. And he's well liked. He's the favorite, I think is what Egg called him last week. And so it almost looks like Arian's going to challenge him, but he like kind of stops and they have this sort of like standoff thing going on. But and I don't think that was prearranged with Baelor whatsoever. And so I'm sure there was like a little bit of like, in that moment. But Arian moves on and he goes up to Sir Humphrey Harding, and that's who he decides to challenge. Come out, little knight. And Sir Humphrey Harding, you know, he was in the lists in the previous episode. He's, you know, one of these knights of renown. The Harding family. Well, this is also actually kind of some like parallel to maybe what's going on with Sansa right now in the books in A Dance with Dragons, when she's in, is it A Dance with Dragons or A Storm of Swords? I haven't read the books in a minute, guys. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. But she's in the Vale, and there is Harry the heir. Harry is a Harding, I believe. And so this may be a level of foreshadowing. Just saying. I'm not going to get too much farther into it because, again, I'm very rusty right now. Nobody's watching anyways. It doesn't really matter. So no one's been watching my Duncan egg content whatsoever. And well, we'll talk about that later. I've got some tea. I've got some tea to share. I've got some apple cider brewed by the Fossaways to share with you all. So anyways, but we'll do that later in the stream. So Arian challenges Sir Humphrey Harding. They decide to face off. And if we can say anything, a Dothraki wedding isn't a success without at least 3 deaths, and a Westerosi tourney is not complete without at least 1 horse dying tragically and horrifically. So that's what happens. So Dunk is watching this. He's watching Arian, and he realizes that his lance is pointed too far down. He's too low, and he ends up impaling this horse through the neck, which, you know, of course, the horse starts to flail, crushes Sir Humphrey, breaks his leg. It's just like a horrific scene. The horse is like suffering and screaming. The people in the crowd are like very upset by the whole scene, and they're losing their minds. So they start to throw rocks at Arian, and Arian's like very smug. He's like smugly kind of smiling, still sitting down there, but he starts getting like rocks thrown at him. And then the small folk break through the fence and they're like kind of charging at him. They're all very upset. Whether, you know, is it just the horse that's upsetting them? Is it Arian? Is it like what specifically what their plan was? Not really clear, but the King's Guard come rushing out on their horses, and they're in their white armor, and they're, trying to just gain control over the situation. And Egg also was like really stressed out during the whole thing. Like as soon as he sees Arian, he's very triggered. And this happened in episode 2 as well, when they came riding in. As soon as he sees Arian, he is just like stressed. He wants to get out of there. Excuse me. And so he tells Dunk notices when he's watching him, he's like, kill him. And so Dunk kind of notices that. And then when all the chaos breaks out, you know, Dunk kind of protects Egg, which is just like a natural response. But then Egg's like, I think we need to get out of here now. And so they get out of there, thankfully, just in time. I was like, I kept rewatching it, and thankfully, like right before that guy comes up to like finish the horse, he Dunk and Egg just barely like get out of there, like right at that moment. I was like, I'm so glad that Egg didn't have to see that. So yeah, and then they're walking out of there, and Dunk is really trying to like, you know, he's like, hey, you know, you've got to be strong as a squire, that something like that could happen to me or to someone, you know, around, and you need to be strong enough that you can handle it. That's part of being a squire. But Egg looks at him and he's just like, that was no mishap. That was definitely not an accident. So they decide to just take a chill pill. They're going to go and get an ale or a cider or what have you. They go to Lionel Baratheon's tent, which is always popping, right? he's in there. He's got his antlers on, Stag King, Antler King, Travis Yellow Jackets. What the hell? And so they're singing this song about like this woman named Alice who had like lost a couple of fingers and she pleasures men. Anyways, and it's really funny because Dunk and Egg kind of have this like philosophical conversation about Alice. Like they're sitting there and they're like, well, do you think that was really her name? And I don't think it's about her name. I think it's more about like her, her story. And I love this line from Egg. He says, "Is that not the act of a dogged spirit, though? Giving more than what's asked, the whole arm bone, as it were." And I was just dying. I'm like, he's wise beyond his years. But then Dunk says, perhaps it's not her name that matters. It's her acts that abide. And then Egg responds with, "Her name is Hope, sir. It belongs to all who invoke it." And I'm just like, it's just hilarious. I was trying to make a connection to Pandora's box in a sense. Oh, maybe there is one, actually. Just thought of it. But because Lionel has a lot of like Greek sort of Dionysian Pan sort of energy. And we talk about that a lot in Yellow Jackets. Obviously, it's like a huge influence on that story with them being out in the wilderness and the wild and the revelry. And then, when they sort of have these frenzied moments, which just kind of comes with the territory. And it's like Lionel is just living it up out there. He's been out there. He's drunk for like, well, we're on our 3rd episode. So 3 weeks straight, he's been drunk. No, but definitely for some days. And and that's kind of what these lords are. Like Dunk's going to the tourney to prove himself. And this is like a make or break moment. It means everything to him. Mind you, the lords and the landed knights and these knights of renown are just there for drunken revelry. They're just dancing and drinking and screwing each other and just like, bringing, getting the prostitutes and this kind of, it's just like complete revelry for them. This is like a vacation. This is, a certain island for them, right? In a sense, like they're just going to cut loose. Whereas someone like Dunk, it's everything to him. It means everything to him. So he could lose. All it takes is one loss and he's lost his horse, he's lost his arms, he's lost his armor, and he cannot afford to buy those things back. So it's just kind of an interesting perspective. Dunk is the true knight. He is the one who has the standards and the chivalry and all of that kind of stuff, where these others do not behave in a knightly fashion. So, and I also think one other thing about that song, I think that song is about Dunk. Like, I think that the song about Alice, and yes, her story is much different than Dunk's, obviously, but just like Egg said, is that not the act of the dogged spirit, though, giving more than was asked, the whole arm bone, as it were? But like Dunk is that, he's giving his all, the act of the dogged spirit. It's not about her name. It's not about the name Alice that matters. It's about her acts that abide. And it's the same with Dunk. We don't even know Dunk's name. Is it Duncan? Is it something else completely? The old man always just called him Dunk. So was her name Alice? Who knows? It's not about her name. It's about her story that abides. And her name is Hope, sir. It belongs to all who invoke it. Well, who has hope? Who is on a wing and a prayer right now? It's Dunk. So like that story is a reflection of him, and that keeps happening. Like we see that with the plays, the puppet shows, with Serwyn of the Mirror Shield. That's clearly about Dunk, a young boy who left it all behind and just trying to make a name for himself. And it's the mirror shield. It's holding up a mirror to Dunk, So I've talked about that in my last couple of videos, if you guys want to watch them. Okay, let me get caught up in the chat real quick here. So, okay. So Kirsty Angel. So with the helm front on and from behind, it made me think of the Night's King in Game of Thrones. His head has horn-like bits on the top. Interesting. Oh, with yeah, and they love to do that, right? With our Targaryen men is sort of like uh pair them with Night King stuff. And it's like, what is that? Is that meant to, is that foreshadowing? Is that, is that something for the books? I definitely think there's something there. Obviously, like in House of the Dragon, like with Daemon and his vision, his weirwood vision, it's like, why Daemon of all people? So yeah, I love that kind of stuff. All right, while Marjoram, she is covering School Spirits. Is this now the second season, I guess? I didn't actually watch the first season, but it always comes on right after Yellow Jackets. So, oh, okay. Ronker does the music. They do the Yellow Jackets soundtrack. Okay, Antler King, yep. Here, let me pull up a picture of him. Sorry, we're still on this devil. We need some Lionel. Why not? Okay. Kirsty Angel, what Arion invokes in his brothers is the same as Euron to his. Definitely. Yeah, exactly. Very similar. They've hurt their own siblings. And like, you kind of have to wonder too, if that's could potentially be part of the reason why Aemon was sent away to the Citadel. Because even Raymond says in this episode that like he was so useless they sent him off to the Citadel. But it's like, if you're being abused in your own house, like, what if he just was reclusive, right? Like, what if he just was like, like the same way that Egg is like, as soon as he sees Arion, as soon as he realizes he's getting close, he's like, hell no, I'm out of here. Like, what if it was the same with Aemon? Like, we just don't know, but it's terrible to think about. But yeah, Arion is a monster. He is like a really bad person. And like, we get a glimpse of that, but like, we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of like what a frightening individual he is. Okay. Oh, it's the third season. See, I'm behind. I've been, yeah, checked out. Okay. A certain island or your local run. Well, I don't want to put those two in the same sentence, but all right. So let's go ahead. Okay. Let me check my notes here. Okay. So then Duncan Egg. Oh, okay, perfect. Do I have a photo of this actually? I, for some reason, do not think I got a photo of the fortune teller lady. Well, we'll just pull up this one. Okay, so Duncan Egg, they're out, they're walking and they. So this is after they've been in Lionel's tent. They're just a little, it just seems like they've had a little bit of a rough time after the tourney. They just seem a little bit stressed out. So it's been an emotional roller coaster of a day. Okay, Dunk wakes up, he's vomiting, he thinks he's going to be riding in the tourney, then he's not riding in the tourney. They're having fun, they're eating breakfast, then they see a horse get impaled. It's been an emotional roller coaster of a day. So they're walking and they kind of have this moment. Dunk asks Egg if he's ever met his father. And Egg actually says, well, no, not really. Like, he lies to him right there. And Dunk says, well, I probably saw my father hanged, and he was told from a pot shop owner in Flea Bottom that his father was a thief. Now, there's many theories as to who Dunk's parentage is. And actually, while we're here right now, I highly recommend, I just saw an excellent video yesterday from Septa Shayna's Secrets. This is a little bit of a smaller channel, but they've been around for a very long time. It's actually one of my very favorite A Song of Ice and Fire channels. Excellent, like mythology connections and that kind of thing. He did a great video yesterday about Dunk and his parentage, and I highly recommend checking it out. If anyone wants to find it and just drop it in the chat, that would be awesome. But it's Septa Shayna's Secrets. And definitely subscribe to his channel. Like, he's been making videos forever and just doesn't have a very large channel, but I love his content. So, so they're walking along and they run into a fortune teller. Now, people have been speculating widely about this fortune teller because some astute viewers may have noticed that there may have been a birthmark on her cheek. That, I don't know for sure. I don't have opinions on this. I think it would be kind of an interesting thing. I also think that there's a little bit like with the Iliad, where like the gods are amongst them right now, right? Like they're having this tourney. We have Robin Raisling coming in. He's a vessel for the warrior. Dunk being that true knight is like there's the 7 gods are like being invoked with that. And so there's something here where I'm like, are the gods like, are we going to experience this like as the show's progressing? Are we going to see like the gods are there amongst them? And maybe it's just like a very subtle thing. I don't know. Just a thought. Also, the other thing about this fortune teller woman is it kind of, brings to mind the fortune teller that was in House of the Dragon in season 1 when Rhaenyra and Daemon, it's like when Rhaenyra is younger still, they sneak out of the Red Keep and they go into town or go into King's Landing into the city, and Rhaenyra, she gets approached by a fortune teller and says, do you want to hear about your death? So there's kind of a parallel going on here with that. And this fortune teller comes up. She says, can I tell your fortune? She tells Dunk that he is going to be a great success and that he will be as rich as a Lannister. And then he says, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, do the boy now. And she looks at Egg and she's just like, oh, no. She says, you'll be king and you'll die in a hot fire and worms shall feed upon your ashes. And all who know you will rejoice in your dying. And what I noticed is as she's like saying this and Egg is like, what? Like there's this sort of ominous kind of roaring cheering in the background. Again, Chairman Egg. Like there's like this ominous like communist looming disaster energy going on with this. I'm just saying. So yeah, and Egg is completely freaked out by that, but Dunk of course is like, meh, don't, it's just some lady just saying stuff, like he just kind of laughs it off or whatever, but Egg is obviously kind of freaked out by it. So then they're walking and they run into Raymond Fossaway. And we know Raymond from episode 1. He is the squire for his cousin, Sir Stephen Fossaway, who is of they're like the red apples and the green apples. Okay. There's like a cadet branch. The green apple Fossaways are the cadet branch of the Fossaway house. Raymond is from the green apples. Stefan is from the red apples. The red apples, they feel like, they're a little more like authoritative. It's like the Starks and the Karstarks in a sense. Okay. And so Raymond invites Dunk in for some cider, and Egg is like, you can tell like they must have met each other at some point. They must know each other, because Egg is like very standoffish and he's like, I'm going to go watch the puppet show. I'll get your shield afterwards. And he kind of takes off. And Raymond is like, like he's like, something's familiar about that kid, but he can't quite put his finger on it. So he and Dunk, they go over to his tent to have some cider brewed by the Fossaways themselves. I'm sure it's excellent. I would so love to try that. I would so love to get drunk on that. And they're just kind of chatting, Raymond is asking him who he's going to name as his opponent. Has he decided on who he's going to challenge? And Dunk's kind of like, I don't know. He's thinking about Sir Andrew. which is, yeah, anyways. And so he's kind of dropping the hints there, and Raymond's like, oh, are you trying to be, the villain? Because that's the local favorite. They're chit-chatting, they're kind of gossiping, and it comes to the list events that happened earlier with Arion, and Dunk says, well, my squire thinks that Sir Arion meant to kill the horse. And Raymond gets this look. He gets this look like, I'm about to ruin the date, but at least you're going to go home knowing the mayor of New York was fathered by Epstein, or, something like that. So he lays it out. He's like, they're incestuous aliens, Duncan, blood magickers and tyrants who've burned our lands, enslaved our people, dragged us into their wars without a mote of respect for our history or our customs. Every paled hair brat they saddled on us has been madder than the last. The gods know how. The only honorable thing a Targaryen can do for this realm is to finish on his wife's. So I think he meant to kill the effing horse. And then he's like, I got a little carried away about that. Sorry. I loved that scene. I thought it was excellent. He is me. Like, I love my conspiracy theory, green apple Fossaway boy, like Raymond. That's my guy right there. I just love it. He just busted out with it. Yeah. And then he's like, I'm sorry, my bad. And then he belches. I'm like, this guy is me. Sorry. This is how I behave, you guys. So, but they're sitting there, and so then we see a flash over to Egg, who's sitting at the puppet show, and he sees Arion step into the tent and watch the show. And he's watching the play. They're doing the Serwyn of the Mirror Shield performance again, but Tanzel is playing the part of Serwyn this time. And it's the big dragon, and then she stabs the dragon, and it has like this confetti that flies out, but everyone is like silent. Normally when we saw this before, everyone was cheering. They were very excited, but now Arion has entered the building and everyone's like, uh-oh. And so then it goes back to Dunk and Raymond, and they're chatting. And actually, Raymond is telling Dunk that Maekar had left Ashford that morning to go search for his sons. And then they kind of start talking about his sons. He's like, Darren is a drunk. Arion's vain and cruel. The third one, which is Maester Aemon, he's so useless, they sent him off to become a maester. And the youngest, and then who comes rushing in but Egg? And he's like, Sir Duncan, come quick, they're hurting her. And so Dunk goes, tearing over there. He's not sure what he's walking in on, but he walks in just in time to find Arion holding Tanzel by her hand, and he breaks her finger. Just so nasty, like blood flies, her bone. I mean, it was just awful. And she screams, and Dunk is like, try and stop him. He goes up, he punches Arion a couple of times, and then he just launches him across the room. And then, the guards are on him. And, it was also really interesting, like when Dunk was like initially charging over there, of course, the other guards and the knights, they're like destroying the puppet show. Like, they're destroying the tent. Like, I don't know if you guys caught that, but he's like knocking over a brazier with fire and like lighting a bunch of stuff on fire. I don't know if it was maybe the puppets or what have you. I think they talk about this in the book, actually. But yeah, so it was just this chaos moment. The guards, they grab onto Dunk. It takes like 4 of them to hold him back. Arion's trying to pull out his knife. Dunk kicks him in the face. I mean, it's a crazy scene. And then finally things, calm down. Dunk's like, he's just pissed. And Arion's like, why would you throw away your life for this woman? She's, a traitor or something like that. And he gets all dramatic. He's like, no, the dragon should never lose, or the dragon ought never lose, is what he says. Hold on, let me pull up a photo here. And it's just a nasty situation. He says that Dunk had loosened one of his teeth, so he's going to knock out all of his teeth. And they go to like literally curb stomp Dunk. Like, it's crazy, super scary. And because I was like, how are they going to do this? Like, what are they going to do? And yeah, they're going to like straight curb stomp him to bust his teeth out. Like, holy crap. And then Egg suddenly comes running in and he's like, back up off him. Don't touch him. Unhand him. And Dunk is like, shut up, bro. Like, you stupid boy. They're going to hurt you. But he's like, no, they won't. If they do, then they'll have to answer to my father. He commands the guards to unhand Dunk. And it's just kind of this what the F moment for everyone. Arion says, what happened to your hair? And he's like, I shaved it off because I don't want to look like you, brother. And so it is revealed that Egg is, in fact, the brother of Arion. He is the youngest son of Makar, who had gone missing. And that's who he is. His character has been revealed. Dunk, of course, shocked, like, what just happened? He's just very confused by the whole thing. But yeah, it was just kind of a crazy ending. And then of course we get our trailer for next week, in which we see Dunk is imprisoned and Egg comes in and he's dressed, to the nines as Chairman Egg. He's definitely got that, Chinese communist like vibe going on with his outfit. Like, sorry, tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. So Chairman Egg, I think he meant to kill the horse. So that's episode 3 for you guys, The Squire. It was an excellent episode, another great one. And actually, this episode has been rated the highest out of all 3 episodes thus far of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So this episode is beloved. People are loving it. They're raving about it. I think it was just so much fun. Yeah, it was, like I said, it's an emotional roller coaster of a day for these guys. They're going through a lot. They're, am I going to be in the list? Am I not going to be in the list? And then we see a horrific thing at the list. And then, we're going to drink some ale and some cider. And then all of a sudden I'm getting, the fortune of my death being told. And then all of a sudden fingers are being broken. And I mean, just absolute craziness, but it was fantastic. A lot packed into, what was it? 30 minutes, 32 minutes, I think is the episode length. So I really enjoyed it. Next week, we will be back to talk about the next episode and hopefully some other stuff in between. I will be working on another video this week for you guys, which I hope you get a chance to watch. And on that note, my views have been atrocious on my Duncan Egg content, unfortunately. Yesterday, or this weekend, I discovered that someone's been stealing my content and uploading it as their own, including my most recent Duncan Egg video. And so I've reported I had to spend a bunch of time reporting all of this to YouTube and kind of going back and forth with them. But yeah, my Duncan Egg video from this past week has like 100 views on it, which is like so bad. That's like the worst any of my videos have ever done, like even when I was first starting out. So if you guys get a chance, please go watch it. I've been putting in a lot of heart and soul into my Duncan Egg videos this season. Granted, there's only 2 thus far, and then I've done a live stream. But both of them were, had a lot of heart and soul put into them. So if you guys want to go check those out, my channel has just been, the views are in the toilet right now. And I really think it's because there was this other channel that was literally, they have a bunch of my Yellow Jackets videos, a House of the Dragon video, which is a members only video, and my most recent Duncan Egg video. And thankfully, YouTube is being great. They're taking them down from this other person's channel, but it's just like it's clearly affecting my channel because I'm hardly able to get like 1,000 views on my videos I'm putting out. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you guys are familiar with me. And yeah, so it's just been a rough couple of weeks trying to get back going. And I've been, I did take some time, like I didn't put a lot of content out in 2025. I actually have been, well, some of you guys know, I was dealing with, I don't even really want to bring it up on a live stream because I know that certain people are watching and I don't want to give them the satisfaction. But yeah, I've had a lot of people harassing my channel over the past year, trying to get videos taken down, trying to obviously steal my videos and put it up on other channels. Like, I mean, it's just been very, very weird. And I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, the only way out is like through, but you know, it's been really hard for me because I'm putting out a ton of work and a lot of energy. So I appreciate you guys for being here, especially if you're here watching live. I so appreciate it. And as Mrs. Duncan the Doll said, she goes, you know, I was talking to her about it. She says, well, you know, that must just mean that you've made it. And I'm like, yeah, but yeah, but, and she's like, we all got to go through the hard salt beef times. And I was like, that's the perfect response for me, my dear. I love you. I was like, I thought we were going to the tourney. I can't even get 100 views. So like, what's happening? Yeah, no, I posted that Duncan egg video. My last week's video was posted. I couldn't even get 100 views on it. I took it down, and this person had already like reposted it onto their channel. They're getting more views than I am on my stolen content. And so I re-uploaded it a couple days later, but still it's just hardly getting any views. So I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to make more Duncan egg content, but it's just been a weird thing. It's just been weird. So thought I would share that with you guys. Let's see. Would putting up posts leading to the new episode and afterwards probably help with drawing in viewers? I am, yeah, I'm working on it. I've been trying to just like flood the system, like I'm trying to just flood my channel with so much that like, hopefully I can just, overwhelm whatever kind of like, I don't know if I'm shadow banned or what. And I've been through that, before in the past, and it's not even worth it to like, go to YouTube support, to be totally honest. It's just like either they're AI or like it's just kind of like slamming your head into the wall where you're just like, these people aren't really helping me very much. It's just kind of chasing my tail. So yeah, so my method right now is I'm just trying to like flood my channel. I've been posting in the community section. I've been, putting out a ton of content, trying to do live streams, and just trying to like flood it out so that I can like overwhelm whatever might be holding back the algorithm, I guess you might say. It's just, yeah, a lot of pain in the ass, But anyways, yes. And Wild Marjoram, yes, if you guys want to go check out her channel, it's Sci-Fi Vision. And they cover some different shows, and it's a great channel. So if you guys want to go and subscribe to that, yes. And I should do that, do more posts, polls, and shorts. Yes. I don't do much for shorts. I'm you know me. Do I do anything short? No, it's all like 2 hours long, right? But yeah, I have been putting a lot more posts, and I'll do some more polls, and try and just get some engagement going that way. I do have a poll up right now if you guys want to go vote. I am doing which show do you prefer and why? House of the Dragon or A Night of the Seven Kingdoms? Because there has been kind of a discourse going on online, not so much on YouTube, but definitely on X, where most discourse lives, where people are really dogging on House of the Dragon since A Night of the Seven Kingdoms came out. And they're really going hard on Ryan Condal. And I totally hold George R.R. Martin accountable for that, because it's just constantly like, our relationship is abysmal and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, George R.R. Martin really creates a lot of drama behind the scenes. And I'm at this point, convinced that he's doing it intentionally just to like get attention, maybe not attention for himself, but attention for, his world in general. And sorry, not sorry. Like, I've been in this fandom, and I know that, some of you, like Kirsty Angel, I know you've been in the fandom for like, just as long as I have, maybe longer. But I've been in the fandom since like 2015, and, way before I was a content creator. And I was a fan of the books for years before that. I didn't really know about, like, I wasn't an internet person, so I didn't know about like fandoms and that kind of thing. Like, I was so green, but I was a green apple Fossaway. But thank you, Wild Marjoram. Thanks for being here and watching. Appreciate you. But yeah, so what am I saying right now? Anyways, we've all been in the fandom for a very long time, and I've made excuses for George R. R. Martin more times than I can count. And I call him, at this point, I call him my toxic ex-boyfriend, the one you just can't stay away from. It happens. It happens to all of us. I think that he's everyone's toxic ex-boyfriend. So I I just am done kind of like making excuses for him, and that's my personal choice. And actually, Company of the Cat, she just did a video this morning where she was kind of talking about the same thing, and it was a great video. So if you guys want to go watch that, definitely check it out. Let me drop in while we're here. I'm going to put in Septishana's video and just drop it in the chat for you guys, just because I should have it right here. Here it is. Okay. Let me just copy this. I highly recommend checking out this video. I just really enjoyed it a lot. But all right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I will be back next week with another live stream to discuss the newest episode. And if you guys get a chance, go check out my other content. Check out my most recent Duncan egg video, which is a call to arms. And it's all about Sir Duncan's dirty old belt. So if you like that kind of stuff, you know where it's at. All right, you guys. Well, I appreciate you all for being here. And I'll see you next week. All right. Jackie out.